This is exercise 5.3, where you have to write an application to see who's the winner of the SRC. In this case, you're going to use a function with parameters as a method of the form to determine the winning candidate for each grade. So the function should receive 4 votes and return, which means there's an answer. Return always means there's an answer. The letter of the candidate with the most votes. In this case, a single letter that it should return. Here's the interface. Let's start coding. In this case, remember, we set all our variables. We move up into the form. So I'm going to have there I mark 1, I mark 2, comma, I mark 3, comma, I mark 4, which you're going to make integer, because those are the values that's going to be read in. We are going to create a in called getAnswer. Now it has to pass 4 parameters. So I'm going to put the in1, in2, in3, in4. They all type integer. This is a function, so it returns a value. In this case, the value it's going to return is going to be a single letter or a char. Okay, Control-Shift-C. When we do this particular type of question, where we have to search for an answer, and in this case, the highest answer, there's a specific algorithm that we follow. The algorithm that we follow is that the first answer is always the highest and or the lowest. In this case, the first one will always be the highest. So I'm going to create there a local variable called I highest, which is going to be integer. And we have to actually store the value. So it's going to be C value, which is going to be a char. So in this case, in1 is going to be always your highest value because it's the first one. So I highest, we make in1. And then C value, we make A. And now we can start checking things. Now we can start checking for the second value, the third value, the fourth value. So I'm going to say if in2 is greater than I highest. If that is true, then we need to change I highest to in2, the second value which we've entered. And then our C value, we need to change to B. We do this for the third one and the fourth one. So I'm just going to copy there, going to paste twice, and then I'm just going to change. So this would be for the third value, so in3, that would be in3, and that would become C, and that would become in4, and that would be 4, and that would be D. So after we've done it, it has to return a value. So we're going to say, in this case, result colon equals C value. There we go. So that is our process. Now in each one, we have to do the input and the process. So let's go and do input here. So what we need to do, we need to fill in the 4 values from the edit boxes. So I mark 1, we're going to say, and it comes in this case from EDT grade 8 because this is a grade 8 one, dot text. But in this case, this would be string to int. I'm going to take a shortcut here. I'm going to copy, going to paste, I'm going to change this to 2, to 3, to 4, and instead of A, B, and C, I'm going to put there B, C, D. So that's my And we've got there, sorry, that should be I mark 4 there at the top. And that's my input. So in the process and output, in the process now, we're going to call that function. That function is going to process and produce our final answer. So I'm going to use that in the output. So I'm going to say readout.lines.add, and let's see what we have to show us. We have to show grade 8 SRC leader is candidate. So we have to write there, grade 8 SRC leader is candidate plus, and now we call that one. We're going to say get the answer for us, pass to it I mark 1, I mark 2, I mark 3, I mark 4. There we go. So input the values. Here's the output, but with the output we call the processing, so it will do the processing in there and it will return for us the answer. Let's go and see if it works. So in candidate A, I'm going to put 45. Let's make it 48. Let's make that 51. And let's make that 32. So the answer should be number C, candidate C. Let's change maybe that one to 480. So it should be B. Let's change that to add there something. Now it should be A. And let's put there 2 zeros. So now it should be D. Oh, apologies. Let's put in another 0. There we go. And all that I'm going to do now, I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to paste it inside the grade 9s, and instead of grade 8, I'm going to change that to a 9. And that's a 9. But this will still stay the same because we're using the same variables. And therefore we should have the same answer. And this concludes exercise 5.3.